So I've gone into this whole Turalyon and what might happen with him heading into midnight. Is he still the king of Stormwind? Is he going to lead us astray? Is he a light zealot who might force the light down our throats and out our asses? I don't know. What I do know is something is going to change. Anduin might be coming back as king of Stormwind. All these things going down. We got a video here about the preview of what could be happening. This is not spoilers, okay? There are no spoilers here because this is really about the book that just came out. They released some pages about it. This is a book that's supposed to lead you up into midnight. So no real midnight spoilers here. And how do I know that? I did not pre-watch the video, okay? But I did watch like the first 10 seconds to make sure that there's no spoiler shit in here because I don't like spoilers that much, okay? So it's not a pre-watch. It's just a pre-pre, okay? It's like a pre-pre-pre, okay? I didn't freaking watch the entire video. So let's check this one out. See what it's all about here. How Turalyon is turning evil, maybe? Let's check it one.
The Alliance has been led by Turalyon for years now, since the Shadowlands, with Anduin being in exile and searching for himself. But finally, after all this time...
I'm not admitting shit, okay? I did not pre-watch the video. I just wanted to make sure that this wasn't spoiler-ridden, okay? I did not pre-watch it. This was literally, I'll tell you what point I stopped at.
That is officially changing. The new Midnight book just came out with a preview.
When I saw this, I stopped the video. This is literally how far are we? 12 seconds in. I was like, oh, he's talking about the book. Okay, this is not it's not a spoiler. We can watch this. All right? I watched it for my community. 12 seconds in. That is not fucking pre-watch. No, it's not pre-watched. You know what? I'm not going to fight with you guys. You guys are going to keep saying this shit. I'm not going to fight. I'm not going to argue with you. You can fucking keep saying it. Unbelievable. I do so much for you guys. It's how you guys act. Unbelievable.
Some incredibly interesting new information. Most importantly, Turalyon has stepped down as the leader of Stormwind and
it's like talking to my kids.
While Anduin has finally returned back to Stormwind after all this time. We learned Turalyon didn't enjoy leading, he rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, and now with the new light lore and alpha information, Blizzard is writing him in an oddly suspicious direction. In one scenario, he's even sort of a villain, not caring about civilians, and at the moment he's the leader of the Army of the Light, while he's also one of the leaders of the defense of Azeroth. Currently, we have the same interests, but if the Light decides to change, whose side is Turalyon going to pick? While having the best deals on the market for all games and software, Gamivo just added mobile top-ups for your favorite mobile games with the best prices that you can get with my Gamivo link in the description below. Best of all, use my code DORON, your discount will be even bigger, so make sure to use my link in the description and the code and check out Gamivo.
Do it, guys. Use this code.
Quite a lot of things are happening on the Alliance side of things in the Midnight Alpha right off the bat, but also in the prequel to Midnight, which is the new book that is coming out in just a few days called The Blood Ties, which is all about Arator and his family, Turalyon, and everything that is coming in Midnight. Now, while the full book will come out in just...
By the way, these things usually get released like in an audiobook. I don't know who's reading it this time. The last time, I don't know what the book was, but Anduin's voice actor read it. It was awesome. That was a really cool book. I don't know who, I forget what the book was. I even did the whole preview for BFA. You guys remember that book? What was it? Before the Storm. That was a really good one. If you've ever listened to one of these books before, you know, maybe you don't want to pick it up and read it, but there's always an audiobook version of it. They're awesome. I like listening to them in the car and just catching up on lore and shit while you're driving around. Keeps my, you like books, keeps your mind sharp. It's always good to read, but I just read so much for my job that I don't care to pick up a book after work. So, yeah, this is cool. I definitely suggest it to people. Unfortunately, a lot of times there's lore drops in here that should honestly be in the game, but they're in a freaking book. So, check it out if you can.
Now, while the full book will come out in just a bit, we got some crucial pages in the actual preview promoting the book, with some really interesting updates to the post-War Within storyline and some development on Arator and Turalyon. Personally, I find a bit of the Arator
books are non-canon. No, that's not true. The preview books for the expansions are canon. They're definitely canon. If you're talking about like the adventure books, if you've ever seen those, there's like all these little adventure side stories and stuff like that. Sure, those are not. But these ones, these pre-expansion books, they are definitely canon.
Storyline cringe because he is in an interesting position. I mean, objectively, his mother is a powerful void figure. His father is a very powerful.
Yeah, the comics and stuff like that. Those are really not
pushing this angle, which can be interesting. But I do feel like it is getting a little bit tacky. I mean, this guy got like a tattoo showing both sides. the light and the void, and they're treating him like he's a teenager that is finding himself with his relationship with both parents. They're so different, but this dude is like 40 years old. I mean, I know elf years and all, but elves only live long. They don't mature when they're like 100 years old. However, that is a digression that is besides the point. Aside from the outer story development, we are getting development finally with Anduin after the Shadowlands, and big news is that Turalyon is no longer the ruler of the Alliance in Stormwind. As you may remember, I mean, Anduin ruled for a very short time when Varian was gone, most notably during the...
This is interesting, because I really thought Turalyon was going to have a hard time stepping down for some reason. I thought he might see Anduin as, like, playing the Void side, too, and he would feel like, no, the Alliance has to side with the Light, and he might not want to step down. So I'm surprised that he's actually going to step down.
The big war in PFA, he was a pretty important leader. I mean, that was one of the most critical times for the Alliance. And then he was abducted and taken to the Shadowlands and was completely messed up. And since then, when we had freed him from the mind control, he has been missing for years, only returning now in the War Within to join in on the main storyline with Yarati, Khazagard, and everything. Well, the new book confirmed that finally, after his years of exile and searching and everything, Anduin is finally back in Stormwind. He's around, but surprisingly enough, he has...
Okay, by the way, like, Anduin's storyline in The War Within, it was okay. Like, I know a lot of people really, really hate on Anduin's storyline. I was alright with the whole thing. You find the light again. You know, he kind of B-resed Khadgar there at one moment. So that kind of stuff I was cool with. But now, at this point, we went through the touchy-feely stuff for a little bit. I'm kind of ready for him to do something badass. Like, you got in touch with the light again. I want to see him drop like a hammer of light on somebody. You know, just totally execute an enemy. Beat the shit out of someone. Lead some kind of badass charge. I got to see a little bit of madness come out. I want to see Varian. You know, like, this man literally, he's got Varian's blood running through his veins. I want to see a Varian-esque moment. Not that little shitty cutscene that we saw where he sacrificed himself off the ship because he was kind of crying as he did it, so it didn't really count. I just want to see, like, a manned-up moment. We'll see if we actually get that.
Has not formally reclaimed the title yet. The official lore right now is that Genn Greymane is actually currently in charge of Stormwind and the Alliance, but personally, I think this is really a much more temporary role other than, compared to the Regency that was under Turalyon, as he has been essentially nearly completely...
He's not a paladin? You don't think Anduin's a paladin? What is he then? He was a priest, I agree, but he kind of class changed. He's wearing a full plate set, like... He literally, like, bubble rezzed everybody. I know he's a priest, yeah, by practice, but these guys class change. Also, kind of the hero classes, they kind of take on multiple aspects sometimes, so there's that side of it too. He's a hero character, so he can kind of do multiple things. Yeah, he's multi-classing. He kind of is. He's a paladin priest mixture. With a transmog,
Anduin is literally here.
He's a priest with a transmog.
Literally in the Stormwind Keep, but he hasn't really taken...
I mean, he holds a two-handed weapon, right? And he splits it into dual wielding. I mean, priests can't do that. They can't hold giant two-handed swords. So that's like his armor set is really paladin. I would say Anduin was more paladin than priest at this point.
The mantle yet. The book states that Turalyon actually didn't like ruling at all. He didn't enjoy the process whatsoever. He only accepted it because that is his duty as a paladin. We learn that Turalyon is an excellent general, a great leader of troops, but he's...
But anyone who played priest in Legion, Anduin was in the priest order hall, wasn't he? Like, what wasn't... I don't know if he was there, but he played a role in the priest order hall. I know when Kalia Menethil died, didn't he bring her back to the priest order hall in the story? So he had some kind of connection there. But he's still a paladin right now, huh? Let's be honest. He plays like a paladin.
Far too rigid to adapt to the fluid nature of politics, and apparently he has robbed a lot of common folk the wrong way,
splits,
so he was not exactly a popular ruler. Then we learn about Anduin, and we are told that a war is never without cost, and that Anduin realized at the time that the best thing for the Alliance was for him to temporarily step down, so he can return once he's ready to rule the whole faction, which is, I mean,
he's a priest in Hearthstone?
At any moment now. So right now, Genn Greymane is the Alliance ruler, with Anduin being right there, and I think it's going to switch.
Anduin is officially a priest. Okay, so this is from WoW Wiki or something. He's officially a priest, also dual-wielding swords, wearing heavy armor. Like a warrior king, his character is a hero character in World of Warcraft user, so his class is defined by his primary use of the light, which is used to study extensively. Yeah, so like I said, he's a hero character. He armors up as the High King of the Alliance, but he's technically a priest still. Okay, that's fine. So he won't hit him with a hammer of light. He'll hit him with something else, whatever. But so far, this whole story with Anduin, I would really love to see it continue forward. I hope they continue it forward. Metzen's back, and Metzen loved Varian. Like, he was one of his favorite characters. I think Thrall and Varian were honestly Metzen, like, two of his favorites. So I want to see if he kind of pushes Anduin into more of a, he's his father's son. He kind of plays some of the roles that his father used to in terms of being like a steadfast, sturdy, I don't know, like strong king that people can look to in times of peril.
Real quick, probably like mid-expansion, we might see the return of the king in the game. However, some really interesting developments are happening in the alpha and the new book with Turalyon as well. You guys probably heard about this theory for the longest time of how Turalyon may turn evil, because realistically, I mean, he's much more loyal to the light than he is to any human kingdom, but we never really know. First of all, the new book states that he was an orphan from a royal family out of Lordaeron, and that is when he found the light. And while he was a key figure in the Orcish Wars, since he went to Draenor and outside of our universe, he spent far more time with the Army of the Light, like at least tenfold leading the Light armies compared to whatever he was doing on Azeroth.
Oh,
so
yeah.
the theory was that the fact that he's still the main leader of the Army of the Light, that once the Light decides to do their thing, he's going to side with them more than he's going to side with us. And well, for quite a bit of time, I mean, this was really a shot in the dark. This happening soon is not actually that tinfoil hat anymore. Recently, we started getting the evil sides.
Right, I will say the whole like Turalyon siding with the light thing, the one thing that could hold him back maybe is his son. Right, his son obviously is, a child of shadow and light or whatever. There's that whole theory behind him. His son seems more willing to look to the other side of things and understand the void as well as the light. Now, his son is a paladin. That's a fact. He wears the cool judgment version of the judgment set, so he's a full-blown pally. We know that from the lore. So maybe if Turalyon does start to go astray, I would think his son Erotor would be the thing that kind of grounds him from going full light zealot.
To the light already with the light fanatics attacking us.
And obviously his feelings
Alpha,
for Illyria.
Obviously Blizzard is setting something up with this bad side. I mean, this is not even a speculation. They told us in an interview that we will also see the bad side of the light in this expansion as well. And this expansion is really as much about the light as it is about the void. Now, in the alpha, recently
probably not acid.
Kind of going back and forth with the writing of Turalyon, but surprisingly, or not so surprisingly, there has been some writing where he could actually be set up as a villain. For example, during...
Or Erotor dies and he goes full murder hobo. Yeah, look, if Erotor is killed by the void, then I could totally see that character arc happening, Chlamydia. You're right. I don't think Erotor is going to die, though. Could be wrong. He is a male character in World of Warcraft, so that usually means you're going to die these days. But I don't think he's going to die in this expansion. I don't.
The opening moments of the expansion,
you're right, that would send him off a cliff.
Sunbelt. This is like the broken shore scenario that we had back in Legion. Here, his son Arator had this heroic moment where he disobeys the orders of his father Turalyon, because Turalyon...
I think they had the son before. Yeah, no, definitely. Erotor was born long before she ever went void. He was around when they were gone for the 1,000 Years' War. He was being taken care of back at home, I think, by Illyria's sister, Varisa. So he was definitely born before she went void.
Ordered him to go to the front lines, but Arator decides that saving the civilians of Silvermoon is more important. Lord Tamar and Arator start saying that Turalyon is, kind of heartless, just like a battlefield commander, and the entire narrative is kind of pushing it like that he's a bit of a villain, as we side with Arator, as saving the civilians is more important. Arator then continues to disobey the orders of his father, and by the end, Arator starts doubting his fate in the light as we defend the Sunwell, while Turalyon apologizes for involving us into family affairs. Now, of course, this is not the light crazed Turalyon confirmed, like this is finally the bad guy. I mean, we do get a crazed light faction led by Lotraxion, which I actually got a full video on that you can check out, and
surprise,
obviously
the Draglord's
is
fucked
not
up.
signing with Lotraxion, but here, there is a bit of a dilemma, as he cares more about battling the void than saving civilians, but then again, I mean, battling the void is actually saving the civilians indirectly. Turalyon is still here on the crossroads and no longer a leader of the Alliance.
Sure.
But
I mean, Turalyon, regardless of his affiliation with the light or not, really, like, all he understands is you got to fight the war. You got to fight the fight. Turalyon fought for 1,000 years, man. They were stuck like in a time capsule, just fighting against demons. So, I mean, growing up, this is what he knows. He knows, like, how do I save the people? I save the people by fighting the war. So, I mean, I don't think that's necessarily a trope that he's becoming a light zealot. It's just what he knows.
One of the main leaders defending Azeroth
Yeah, I
from the
remember
Borg invasion, but at the same time, he is also the main leader of the Army of the
probably will
Light
go
that
for
has
it.
finally arrived to Azeroth. Now, really, at this point, it can really start going both ways. I mean, at the moment, we're likely that our interests align perfectly with the Army of the Light, but the question is, though, what happens once that is no longer the case? What if the main Arrow guys decided that the Army of the Light should do something hostile to us? I mean, is Turalyon going to disobey, or is he going to side with Azeroth? With the way the writing is right now, it is incredibly hard to say. I mean, keep in mind that Turalyon is like hundreds of years old, way older than any human out there, and he's only that old because the Light is keeping him that way, so naturally, he owes quite a lot to the Light. I mean, he literally owes them his life. So, at the start of midnight, Genn Greymane is the temporary leader of the Alliance, with Anduin fully back in Stormwind, while Turalyon is going back and forth, but I think we will figure out his true allegiance at some point in midnight.
Interesting.
Thanks for watching. Check out my video on the Return of the Naga in Midnight that we just discovered in the alpha by clicking on the screen, and check out my video on Greek mythology and the Titans that I've recorded live on site in Italy by clicking on the screen as well. See you next time.
Yeah, I mean, well, Genn Greymane being the leader of the Alliance, at least temporarily, that might, in the past, that may have been like, oh, we're going to war. Genn Greymane's a crazy person. Now he's, you know, he's much more grounded. We did the whole Gilneas quest line. He's much more in touch with his feelings and shit, like a lot of characters in this game now. But he's a steadfast leader. I would trust him to, you know, handle things in a time of war and stuff like that. And he knew Varian very well, right? He screamed as Varian jumped. No, remember that shit? So he's been around. He knows his shit. He'll be a decent leader for the time being. I do want to see Anduin reascend the throne, though. I'm sick of him kind of like not taking up his responsibility. You got to go. Eventually, you had your time in the mall with Sylvanas. We all wish we had a, you know, an hour with Sylvanas in the mall. All I need with Sylvanas about 5 minutes, probably at max. That's all I could last. But I'm just saying, you had your time away, right? You had everything that you needed to do. And now it's time to come back. It's time to retake the throne. It's time to man up a little bit and do something badass for us too. In the meantime, Turalyon with his light and all that shit. We'll see how all that plays out. I think as long as Eretor is alive, he won't go full crazy. If like you guys said, if Eretor dies, we might see this guy become a raid boss or something. But anyways, nice video overall from Doran.